Hi, my name is Kareen,
And my name is Bianca.
and today we'll be walking you through our sew along for our Sahaara bra pattern.
This pattern can be found on our website, rubiesbras.com, or using the link in the description down below.
Let's start with finding your size. We recommend wearing a bra as you measure yourself. We will be taking two measurements. The first measurement will be your rib cage, and this number will indicate your band size. Placing your tape measure at the bottom of your wire line, measure around your entire body, keeping the tape parallel to the ground. If you fall between sizes, round to the lower number, and here Kareen is measuring at 30 inches. The second measurement will be our full bust measurement. Placing your tape measure at the fullest part of your bust, measure around your entire body, keeping the tape parallel to the ground. And now it's time to calculate your cup size. Subtract your ribcage measurement from your full bust measurement, then use our chart as a reference. Here you can see the difference in Kareen's measurements is 5 inches, indicating that she is a D cup. Now we will simply print out the specific pages with our size and cut out our pieces. And this is what your pattern should look like laid out together. Today we will be making view A without the optional waistband elastic. Please note that each view and size category has its own requirements for fabric and notions, so do refer to the materials list in the manual. If you'd like to use the waistband elastic option instead, please refer to our waistband tutorial on our website. And here are the materials we'll be using for today. Half a yard of bra tulle, half a yard of Duoplex, half a yard of power net, 10 by 10 centimeter square of bra foam, 3 yards of fold over elastic, 1 yard of 1/2 inch wide strap elastic, half a yard of twill tape, 1 set of 3 by 3 hook and eye closures, 4 rings, and 2 sliders. We are proud to source all of our materials from women-led businesses. Here are some of our favorite suppliers where our materials come from. For this kit, our fabrics are from Emerald Erin and our findings are from Bra Maker Supply. Next, the tools you will need are a cutting mat, fabric shears, a rotary cutter, thread snips, a seam ripper, pins, tailor's chalk, some soft measuring tape, a pencil, and 19/14 stretch needles. Before we cut the fabric, here are some important tips to know. For the cups, we will be using bra tulle. Now the thing about bra tulle is that it has different percentages of mechanical give in the lengthwise grain versus the crosswise grain. Typically, the lengthwise grain has less give compared to the crosswise grain, so as you can see here, if I pull at the lengthwise grain, it has some stretch, but if I pull along the crosswise grain, we get much more stretch from it. So in order to stabilize the stretch, we need to cut 2 of each pattern piece on the lengthwise grain and 2 on the crosswise grain. For the back band, we will be using power net. You are welcome to use any different type of fabric you would like, but it's important that it has spandex in it and at least a 25-degree percentage of stretch. When using power net, you want to cut along the grain line, which appears as a brick-like structure. This is because, likewise to bra tulle, the grain line has much more stable stretch compared to the crosswise grain, as you can see here. So you're going to want to place the pattern like so. Now let's get to cutting. We recommend following our cutting layout in the manual for the best usage of your fabric space and for visual aid. Here I have 2 pieces of bra tulle stacked over one another, making sure both have grain lines running in the same direction. Like I said before, we need 2 of each cup's patterns on the lengthwise and the crosswise grain to stabilize the cups, as you'll see me do here. We'll set them aside for now. Moving on to the bra frame, so you'll see me tracing one side with the tailor's chalk before flipping the piece and tracing the other side. Don't forget to mark the notch at the wire line. Next we have the back band, and we will trace it on the grain line mentioned earlier and then cut out. Here we're using the same bra tulle we use for the cups and placing it on the fold since it's too light to be traced. Lastly, the straps can just be traced and cut along the grain. Once you're done, you should have 2 bra frame pieces, 4 outer cup pieces, 4 inner cup pieces, 2 back bands, and 2 front straps. Now it's time to assemble the cups. As mentioned before, you should have cut 2 of each piece on both the lengthwise grain and the crosswise grain. That should leave you with 2 lengthwise outer cups, 2 crosswise outer cups, 2 lengthwise inner cups, and 2 crosswise inner cups. Now all we have to do is arrange them like so. By stacking 1 lengthwise cup and 1 crosswise cup on top of each other, we stabilize that stretch, and you'll know it's done correctly if the stacked mesh form a flower-like hexagonal pattern like we see here. Now, taking the outer cups, we're going to sandwich the inner cups and match the edges like so, and sew at 1/4 inch. Bra tulle is delicate and tends to shift, so we recommend pinning as necessary and really taking your time to get this right. Now we're going to flip the outer cup back over and it should cover the seam. And we're going to top stitch over it to fully encase it. Taking the twill tape, we're going to sew this along the top of the inner cup edge and outer cup edge to stabilize it. We source ours from Bra Maker Supply, but you can also find it at Emerald Erin and Lingerie Formula. So once again, we're going to line it up like so, and sew it at a straight stitch. Making sure not to pull the twill tape too tightly, and making sure you catch both layers of the tulle. And it should look like this. So now we are going to be sewing the fold over elastic along the inner cup edge. This will finish the neckline. We will be using a zigzag stitch. I recommend stitching a little bit of the elastic before inserting the cup to reduce the initial bulk. Check to make sure the stitch doesn't go over the elastic, but that you're still covering the twill tape. Be sure to leave an inch long tailed, which we will loop around the ring later on. Here's what it should look like. Now let's attach the cups to the frame. Similar to how we sewed the cups, we'll be sandwiching our cup pieces in between our frame pieces. So with the same technique, you want to line up the pieces right sides together, but keep the inner cup edge about 1/4 of an inch away from the opposite curve to leave room for the other cup. Now we lay the tulle lining over top, encasing the cup, and you pin. So this is how it's going to look, and we're going to sew this at 1/4 of an inch seam allowance and finish at 1/4 of an inch before the center front to make sure we get a nice sharp point in the middle. And this is a time you're going to want to change out thread colors if you want it to match the bra frame. Here I've changed it to a burgundy color, and we're going to move back to a straight stitch. Now you can see that the raw edge has been encased in the tulle lining and the duplex frame. Before repeating on the remaining cup, be sure to stay stitched just the corner of the second inner cup to the duplex frame. Here's what it should look like. Once you finish the other side, we need to top stitch with a straight seam at 1/4 of an inch away from the wire line, and be sure to pivot once you reach the center front. And here's what it should look like. So this is what you should have so far. We have the cups encased in the bra frame, and we have a top stitch closed along the wire line. The next step will be attaching the back band. We want to make sure that this divot is facing upward, and we're going to put the right sides together. Line up the edges, and we'll sew it at 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Now the back band is attached to the front frame, and we're going to double top stitch the edge. This first one will be a little less than 1/8 of an inch from the seam. you want to get it as close to the edge as you possibly can. And then the second one here is just going to be a little over 1/8 of an inch away. So here is the finished look. Now that we have our cups, our bra frame, and our back band sewn together, we're going to finish the underarm and the hem with the fold over elastic, and for this we'll be using the exact same stitch settings as the neckline edge. For the left side, we'll be starting from the back band and working our way to the front strap and up the tail. And like we did before, you want to stitch some of the elastic first before sandwiching the bra in between the fold over. And you want to just pull the other side so it catches the power net. Don't pull too tightly on the elastic, just hold it taut and we will simply follow the curve. Be sure to catch the twill tape as well so it doesn't peek out. Once you reach the edge, raise your presser foot and snip your threads in the tail. Then we're going to do the next side, but we'll be starting from the tail and sewing towards the back band. And now the underarm is done, so we're going to do the hem. So we'll start on the right side and follow through until we reach the edge. And now we are officially done with the bulk of the bra. Let's now create the straps of the bra. The assembly method we are using in this video is an alternative option to what you will see in our manual, but not to worry, the end results will be the same. We will first be making the entire front straps. It's important that these front straps are stable to provide support and lift and prevent unwanted bouncing. Now what we're going to do with these two pieces is we're going to fold them in half, right sides together, align the edges, and sew with a straight stitch at 1/4 inch. Here you're going to want to grab either a loop turner or a safety pin like I have and turn the piece inside out. Once you finish that, you're going to want to use your fingers and press it nice and flat, making sure that seam sits nicely in the middle. Feel free to give it a good press with the iron as well if it's necessary. This will clean up the look and hide the seam when you wear it. Then we're going to top stitch along the length of the strap at 1/8 inch on each side. You should have 2 front straps like this once you're done. Now let's attach the rings. All you have to do is loop the tail we created through the ring and fold it downwards towards the back, and we're going to straight stitch where all the fold over elastic intersects, so the underarm, neckline, and the tail. So I'm just going to do that now. And once the loop is in place, trim the excess as close as possible, and we're going to do a satin stitch to cover the edge. So as you can see, I've stitched it here and satin stitched it to cover the edge, and you're going to use the same technique to sew the straps to the loop as well. We have a close-up right here so you can see what it should look like. Make sure that the fold is about 1/2 inch away and that you stitch as close as possible to the edge, possibly around 1/8 inch, and be sure to satin stitch to finish. Now it's time to assemble the back straps. You'll need a 9-inch bra elastic. In this case, I'm using 1/2 inch wide, and you're also going to need 1 slider and 1 ring per strap. You can often buy this as a set. If you look to the left here, this is an example of the assembled strap, and this allows you to tighten and loosen your straps as necessary. To assemble your strap, feed the elastic through one of the holes of the slider with the shiny side facing out, plush side facing in, and looping it back through the other, leaving about 1/2 inch folded over like so. And we're going to straight stitch at 1/8 inch from the raw edge, and then finish with the satin stitch just like we did for the front straps. And so it should look like this. Now we take our ring and loop our strap through. And with the wrong side facing in, we will loop the strap back through both holes of the slider, and there you have your assembled strap. Now with your assembled strap, we're going to apply it to the outer edge of the backband, and rather than walking the elastic up the backband, we're going to walk the backband to match the elastic. Then we need to secure it with a zigzag stitch that forms a bit of a U shape. We'll go up, across the strap, then back down. Here is what the finished stitch looks like. So now we have the finished front and back strap. We're going to loop the front strap through the back strap ring and sew the straight stitch and satin stitch once more. Remember to leave about 1/2 inch fold. And this is what the finished straps should look like. Finally, we've reached the last step, which is the hook and eye closure. Here we'll take our 3x3 hooks and place it above our bra foam and simply trace over with the tailor's chalk. With your fabric shears, we're going to cut it out and take the time to trim the rounded edge nicely. Now let's place our hook back on the foam. And what we're going to do is stitch it with the straight stitch, followed by a zigzag stitch, and then we're going to zigzag all the way around the edge. Now before we zigzag all around, we're going to sandwich the left side of the bra in between the flap as you see here. and run the zigzag over once. Snip those threads, and now you can zigzag all the way around. Be sure to realign if needed when you turn the corners. I also like to trim any excess foam that sticks out afterward as well. For the hooks, you're going to do the same sandwich and stitch over the flaps on the right side of the bra. But instead of zigzagging around, you're just going to want to sew the top and bottom with the zigzag like so. Be sure to do a quick quality check, making sure threads are trimmed everywhere, there are no tucks, and everything is sitting nicely. And we are done! Here is the finished product.
We hope you found this video helpful, and we can't wait to see your creations.
Tell us in the comments below what you think and what you want to see from us next. See you next time!